Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Brewed for Business. We are in Windsor, Colorado today at Coffee House 29. Really cool coffee house. If you're working locally, perfect place to work from. There's a ton of space. We're in a back room right now. It's kind of private, set up for, looks like presentations or something, right? They have like whiteboard and all that stuff. But it's been awesome. And it's snowing outside. So this Florida girl is super happy. I'm super excited to introduce you guys to my guest today, Grant Kobza. Right?
Hi, everybody. Yes, ma'am.
All right, good. Just make sure I pronounce that right.
Yep, you got it.
And we are going to kind of dive deep into what he does and how you guys can connect with him, all of that stuff. So without further ado, cheers to an awesome episode. So I met Grant through my friend, and he was in the process of, almost done pretty much, wrapping up, refinishing her barn, which looks fabulous.
Thanks.
Dude, the work that you do is amazing. I'm fascinated by that. But it's not just the barn work. So you do all kinds of things, right? So you're in general contractor?
Yep. So I'm a general contractor. I have licensing, insurance. I've been doing construction now for, I'd say going on 16 years, and finally branched out on my own. I've worked for other general contractors for those 16 years. In 2022, decided, need to start going out on my own. I was still kind of moonlighting with another employer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I do everything from, your bathroom remodel, if you want to do something like that, to if you wanted to build a house, or if you're a commercial developer and you want to build a office retail space.
Oh, so all of it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you ventured into the commercial space too.
Well, and so that's actually where I found myself in the last year and a half is the residential space, going out on my own and being on my own for 2 years, I guess. But my entire background has been in commercial. So I've done things working for other contractors. We've done things working for food brands, different publicly traded companies, building warehouse spaces for them, office spaces, as well as just doing smaller 1 and 2 like home remodels and things like that. But my bread and butter has been commercial background for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now, are you originally from this area?
No, so I'm originally from a small town outside of Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I grew up in Nebraska for most of my life, and then kind of moved around quite a bit. I lived in Iowa for a few years and went to a junior college there. And then after that, I went to college at Pittsburgh State University. So if there's any people down in Pittsburgh, Kansas, not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, big difference.
Yeah. So lived down in Pittsburgh, Kansas for a couple of years, and then worked in Arkansas. After that, I wanted to get out to the Mountain West, because who doesn't like the mountains, right?
Right.
So I worked for a general contractor in Wyoming for a short time, and then ended up from a friend. His brother owned a company out here in Loveland, and ended up working for him for 8 years, and been out here for going on, this will be 10 years now. I've already lived out in Colorado.
So obviously you love it.
Love Colorado. The people out here are pretty awesome. Yeah, the mountains are wonderful. Just being out here on the Front Range is great, and watching it grow for the last 10 years it's been pretty out of this world, and there's been a lot of cool projects that I've been able to be a part of too in that 10 years out here to watch northern Colorado grow. So
that's the cool part too of like what you do, especially like in the commercial space, because you're like a part of that growth.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Like you know about what's happening like before the rest of the town even starts to see like development and all that stuff, right?
That's right, exactly. And you kind of have the insight too, because you're working with local jurisdictions on where their growth is going to be at, and like their growth pattern, or what what the town managers are seeing for their communities, and just being able to see that. The other cool thing is driving by a project that you built 8 years ago, and it's right off of a main road, or right off of I-25, and you're like, yep, I built that, and it was a soybean field, or it was a wheat field, or whatever at the time, and you drive by it, and now it's totally
expanded
developed.
around it.
Yes, totally developed.
That's got to be really cool because you
Yes.
could be part of like the build, and then a couple of years later, so then like the one it always takes one, like the anchor
Right.
business, right, to
Absolutely.
come through, and then everything like kind of starts to build out
Mhm.
around it. So yeah, so you go from building something in the middle of what seemed to be nowhere, and
Yep.
now all of a sudden it's like all growth, like
Oh,
beyond it.
absolutely. I feel like, and I'm not that old, but I feel like an old person too sometimes, because you drive by somewhere and you're like, that used to be a field, or that used to be,
Right.
nothing. Like it was just a dirt lot, and now there's
They're
a
like your
thousand
children
homes.
all grown up.
Yeah, there's 1,000 houses there now. So yeah, but I enjoy what I do for the most part. It's obviously it comes with its challenges like everything else.
Yeah.
And just really the last few years, just kind of trying to find my niche and direction to go with my company, and yeah.
What kind of things? So you went to all these places when you went to school. Was it related to like construction
Right,
work?
correct. So yeah, I have my bachelor's of science in construction
Okay.
technology.
So
So
you knew like early on that you wanted to be like in that space?
yeah, so when I growing up in Nebraska, my dad worked in construction, and so
You grew up around
I
it.
grew up around it since I can remember.
You were
And
volunteered for free labor?
voluntold, yeah. Hey, go take care of this. I'm like, oh, I'm 7. I think there's child labor laws to this, aren't there? But anyway, no, that was kind of my childhood growing up, learning different things about construction, and then really getting into construction for my first time job. So my first job I ever had was as a janitor at a middle school. And as soon as I started there, I was like, okay, what else is there? Because, it paid minimum wage, which at the time was like $7 an hour, I think.
Uh-huh.
And I
That
was like,
does like age us, doesn't
yeah,
it?
it
When we
does.
say things like
It
that,
does.
I
Yeah.
swear it's not that long
It's
ago.
not, it is not that long ago. That's the thing. And so I had a janitorial job as my first job ever. I was like, this is not my cup of tea.
Mhm.
There was one of my really good friends, his uncle owned a construction company. I'm like, hey, what do I need to do to get on with him? And so he hired me at $10 an hour, and I was
Like,
like big
hey.
man on campus knocking down $10 an hour, right?
Yeah. I'm
And
sure
so,
the work was a little bit more like
well,
challenging too, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and that was the thing. I first started out, and I was like the scrap kid. I was the guy that went in and picked up, trash on
Yeah, they
after,
don't really hand
after
you a
hours.
hammer like
They
your
don't,
first day on the
yeah,
job.
they don't hand you a hammer and say, hey, go build this or whatever. So, but after a while, I got to learn different things from different trades, different guys, carpenters that I worked with.
Mhm.
And eventually it kind of snowballed into, okay, I'm comfortable doing, a bathroom remodel on my own, or comfortable doing a kitchen remodel on my own. And so I would do those things, and it's just grown and grown and grown to where, now it's like I'm comfortable. If we want to
Building a barn.
build a barn. If you want to build a 50,000 square foot commercial building, let's do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So did you always do like projects on the side while you were working in construction?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, so I worked for the general contractor, wonderful general contractor out here, who was in the commercial space for like just about 9 years, I
Mhm.
guess. No, it was 8 years. Anyways, 8 years. And then that whole 8 years, I'd moonlight stuff on the side. So, I'd be there from whatever it was, 7 to 4, 7 to 5. And then it's like, okay, well, now I have to go to do the tile in this person's bathroom for him or whatever it was. And my wife has been, she's been very gracious and very, understanding for a
Mhm.
long time. And so, but it came to a point we started to have a family, and she was like,
You got to be home
she
sometime.
was like, yeah, exactly. She goes, you can't be leaving me at getting home at midnight. We have a 1-year-old. Like, this is not going to
Yeah.
fly. So it's like, all right, time to jump ship and go on my own.
So did the side projects, did that start with like family and friends, right? So you learn the things on site, and then people are like, hey, I kind of need a bathroom done. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I know what to do. I can help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is exactly how it started. It was family, and then I'd have friends and their moms and dads would be like, hey, because they're thinking some high school or college kid, oh, this kid can do it on the cheap, and like that's how it would start. Actually, the first, there was another one. So the Pittsburgh State University is a really good university. If anybody's ever interested, they had a program, and I'm trying to remember what the name of it is, but basically, because we had a school of construction, people would call in and say, hey, do you have somebody that can
Oh my
whatever,
God.
frame in a wall for me, or do
Yes.
some drywall work or
And then it's
whatever it
great
was.
practice for you guys.
Wonderful practice for me. And so these professors would be like, okay, who do I refer? And so I would get referrals through our professors all the time. So there was actually one, I went to Pittsburgh State for 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And there was two different people. I worked on and off for them for 2.5 years, and that actually really helped pay me through college, essentially.
That's
So
awesome. And talk
yeah.
about like perfect, because you're learning the things and you're able to like put them in practice like right away.
Oh, absolutely. I think the biggest part of it too for me in college was that it taught me client relations, and being able to work with an owner and have a lot of patience with them, patience and just working through things, communicating with them, because a lot of people, even today that I see, they don't have that skill set to be able to learn, hey, these people want to change a bunch of stuff. It's part of the gig. You need to work with them and learn how to work with them on this.
Yeah.
And so there were a couple of clients I worked with in college that, I mean, it was like every week that, you'd go to their house and be like, hey, I'm thinking about, let's move this over here, or hey, so that window that you put in above my farmhouse sink, can we just turn that into cabinets? I don't want the window over there anymore. So just things like that.
I feel like once you cut a hole in the wall, like,
but
I usually hear the other way around. It's usually like you fill the window, right?
Well,
we need a wall space or whatever the case. But
right. And so, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, if they want to pay for it, and it's
their
their
house.
house. Exactly. And that's what I tell people all the time, because they want me to be the designer for them, and I get it. I'll help. This is maybe what's in or what's not in, but there comes a point. It's like, it's your house. You're the one that's going to be living here. You tell me what you're envisioning, and we'll make it happen. We'll build it. And that's part of being a general contractor, right? It's like knowing what strings to pull, who to call in for. If they do want some design help, I'll point them in the right direction. But I'm not an interior designer. I know how to build things. I know different systems, and
if they give you the design, then you're like, got it.
Yep. And client relations are a big one for sure. Just working through things with different clientele, and getting them into whatever their end product is that they want, or end goal, getting into that stage and making it as painless as for them as possible.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've heard a lot, especially being from Florida. There's a lot of issues with people hiring like contractors, and the communication is not there. Right. So then the owner feels like kind of like lost in the dark, but like, hey, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Like, even just like staying in touch with like the process. Like, here's what we're working on. This is how long it's going to take. Like, expectations.
Bingo.
Right? And that communication up front.
And that's one of probably the biggest things in construction, is just being able to communicate with people and explain things to people in such a way that they understand it, but you don't get them too buried in the weeds. Because sometimes I have a problem with it, is sometimes you'll try to explain things to them so much that just
deer in the headlights.
Deer in the headlights. I don't understand a thing that you're saying.
You're talking about beams and bolts and screws.
And you're like, okay, well, sorry, let me back down for you. It's all going to be good, and this is what it's going to look like at the end. Are you happy with that? Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So
it is a difference in person though, right? So it's interesting that you got a lot of your experience like in college. I have a sales background, right? And when my first sales job, I was taking a speech class in college, and so I was able to kind of like test my sales pitch out to the speech class, right? And so I got like instant feedback. And it is really interesting to see like the different people that need different information. So my first sales job was in the cell phone industry. Right. Like before like the first color screen phone came out. Again, sounds so far away.
But it's not.
Really not.
It's not. I remember when it was a big deal when people had the suitcase cell phones in their cars. That was a huge deal. That was so anybody,
and it very quickly evolved like within a year, like to flip phones and like,
and then the Razor was the thing. The Razor was the thing.
That was a pretty sleek phone, I will say.
Yep.
But like just learning like to figure out like what people needed. So like I would sometimes get down to like the nitty gritty and explain like the way that technology worked with cell phone towers as like new technologies developed, right, with certain people. And some people could care less. They just wanted to know like, oh, is this like the fancy phone? And so you kind of, and I'm sure you've gotten that a lot through your business, like you kind of get a feel for what different people need to know.
Yes, absolutely. There's some people that they want to micromanage the whole thing. And then after you show them, hey, this is how we're going, this is what we're doing, they totally back off and they're like, great, Grant's got this,
Right. Because that's what they needed.
and that's what and that's what you need. And that's part of hiring a general contractor is, if you want to spend late nights and pulling your hair out and dealing with all the different subcontractors and trades that go into building a building, you can do that. But if you want a hands free, I need this, that's when you hire a general contractor. But to your point, the design on the design and explanation of different things to clients, it starts at, I'll go to somebody's house and they say, hey, I want an addition. Okay, well, what are you envisioning for the addition? And I get the total opposite ends of the spectrum. You'll have one guy that has drawings and dimensions, and he'll even have an elevation view that he had AI create for him, right, of what they want. And then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where they're kind of like, well, you tell me, like, this is kind of what I want to use it for. I want it for a place where I can host guests at. I don't know what that looks like. And so there's, being able to listen to people and then communicate back to them. This is what you explained to me. What do you think about this? And then the other thing that always comes into effect too is the pricing aspect of it, right? So you'll have people that want what they don't know, they want a Cadillac, right? But then they just want to pay for Ford pricing. So you're like, okay, well, you want this. This is actually how much this is going to cost. What if we did this instead? This would get you into your budget, and you can, it's not going to be exactly what you wanted, but it would stay in your budget. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Yeah, sometimes they're probably more tied to the vision than the budget.
Absolutely. Well, and especially what most consumers and homeowners don't understand is in the last 7 years, so since 2019 with COVID, pricing in the construction sector has just blown up and gone through the roof. And people don't understand that, and they get a lot of sticker shock over things. But then, I mean, take it. So for our market out here in Colorado, you have a speculation home that's built by a bigger home builder that's on a really small lot. Maybe it's a 3,000 square foot home, and they're selling it for $600,000 to $700,000. A lot of people in other parts of the country are going to be like, holy cow, that's crazy. I can buy an acreage or a farm for that much. It's like, well, that's the price of stuff out here. So.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting too to see like the change of it. So like Florida, I live in South Florida, and it's like kind of up and coming. Well, has always been doing great, right? But there's a lot of recent activity that's like development. There's a lot of things happening, and like prices are increasing like continuously. And what you get for $500,000 in South Florida, I mean, you're lucky if you get like a quarter of an acre and maybe 1,500 square feet.
Absolutely.
Depending on the houses. And then you look out here and there's $500,000 houses, but you might get a couple acres, right?
Sure. Right.
You have a more square footage, right? So it's all like what people are really like looking for and like what they want.
Exactly. Well, you being in South Florida, I've heard horror stories about not throwing anybody under the bus, but I've heard horror stories about people in South Florida and just having to hire multiple different contractors to get the same project done because they'll have somebody walk out on them, or they do a poor quality job. And you hear about that not just in South Florida, but even here in Colorado and across the U.S. And that's kind of one thing that I try to distinguish and set myself apart from other contractors is just working with integrity and trying to do the right thing by the owner's sake. As long as they're fair and understanding about it, is trying to do the right thing by the owner's sake to get the job done the way they want it done. And again, just communicating with them, hey, this is what we're doing. We didn't have this figured into our proposal, but we'd like to work. If you can work with us on it, we'll work with you on it, and just getting the job done on time and in a very professional manner.
And if you have the experience to know like kind of like what to look out for, right?
Yes.
Like the potential problems up front before they happen. So like if you're able to like advise, a client like, hey, we're going to be doing this. I like kind of like the typical like HGTV story, right? When people like tear up floors, we can do the floors. However, when we tear them up, there could be some foundation issues, right? There could be unforeseen things. So we just want to make sure that we, anticipate that.
Right.
And I feel like you do a lot of that. So it's just like, kind of giving people like the big picture
Definitely.
And then a lot of those contractors you're talking about that are issues, which is funny because I did always think it was like a Florida problem. And I just thought like, maybe it's the sunshine that makes people lazy. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
But you hear that a lot. Like my parents, and not just contractors, my parents hired an electrician to build out their house. And the guy would literally like check to see if there was power to the wire by like touching it. He'd be like, oh, no, that's not the one. Oh, that's not the one. And I was like, and so my father would like kind of go back behind and like reroute whatever the guy was doing like for that day. And there's still like, you get like one switch in one place that's turning on a light in a different room. It's
oh my goodness. Yeah. Yep. There's a gentleman I knew that he had a house in Fort Lauderdale, and he went through every different trade you could think of: tile, plumber, electrician. He went through multiple of all of them because they would either show up and not do what they said they were going to do, or they'd show up and have a really poor quality product they put in place, or they wouldn't show up. It's just, all those issues that you can think of.
But. And I think that's part of why, like, because they used to do like where they paid up front for jobs, and I know like at least in the last 15 years that's changed to like, hey, we're doing this in phases to make sure that you like continue to show up.
Yes.
But it is interesting like that, and I would love to understand like the psychology behind it, like what is going on with that, because I mean, it's selective work, right? Like not everybody can go up and know exactly like how to build a wall or build a house. Maybe people think that they do. I don't know.
You do get that a lot. You get a lot of people that think that they know how to do X, Y, or Z. And I've heard from different inspectors, building inspectors, you'll have these homeowners that unannounced to them, they'll hire somebody because
like outsource it.
Yeah, well, they'll hire a contractor, if you will, and think that, hey, this guy knows what he's doing, and then they don't check their references or check if they have licensing or their insurance. And these inspectors will come in to try to inspect this work, and they'll be like, I can't pass any of this because these guys don't know what they're doing. So there's a lot of these. There's quite a few people out there that, especially you get into the contracting world where people think they know what they're doing and they don't, and it's tough. Like there's certain standards that the International Code Council and the UPC put out for just different codes that you need to abide by, and a lot of people don't know them. I don't know them all either. I get called on stuff all the time. I failed an inspection this last week, but I don't know the whole national electric code.
You're not sitting there like reading the book in your downtime. Yeah, I'm sure your wife wouldn't appreciate that either.
No, what downtime, right? Yeah, my wife would flip.
So I will say, if you guys get nothing else from this podcast, I mean, we're going to keep going here, but if you get nothing else from this podcast, check references.
Absolutely.
For who you hire.
Yep.
Right? Like you said you send out the references. So anybody that hires you,
right,
you are able to provide like previous owners that you've worked with, that they can, have a conversation with to validate your work and your ethics and, your communication style, all of the things that you're going to want to know.
Absolutely.
Find out before you sign on any dotted lines.
Exactly. And I mean, for me, you have my website going across the bottom of the page here, but I have a Better Business Bureau account too, and I take a lot of pride in that. So again, awesome. Even if maybe a project doesn't go the way that I necessarily want it to go, or that I necessarily bid it, I'm going to do my best to do the right thing by the client at the end of the day.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
And it is nice, and it's so funny that not funny. It's a little sad, I guess, more that the ethics is not as common as we would all like it to be.
Sure.
Like that integrity and ethics is such a big piece of like, who we are as business owners, I think,
Well, I think that's kind of the world that we live in anymore, right? Where a lot of people just do what's right in their own eyes. And I think it's sad, and it's kind of the state of affairs
subject to perspective.
Yeah, and it's kind of the state of affairs that we're in as a country anymore. And not to be doom and gloom, but that's just kind of where it's been going. And I do my best to do the right thing and have integrity no matter what, and just I try to live by the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Yes.
So,
and it's like that simple. I don't understand why more people just don't see that.
It's cut and dry, isn't it?
It's like what you would do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel the same with my business. So you started going, you decided to go out on your own after you have one child?
I have two kids. So I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oh,
And
boy and girl.
yeah, the oldest is a boy, youngest is a girl, and they're wonderful. Them and their mom are the loves of my life. I love them, and the best part of my day is coming home to them every
Oh,
day. So
that's awesome.
yeah, so I love them, and they're the reason I'm doing this right now. It's I told my wife, I think maybe it was right after we had our oldest, was, if I don't do this now, I don't think I'll ever go out on my own to do this, because they're going to grow up and we're going to get into, sports on the weekends and all that stuff.
Yeah, and you want to
So
be able to like control your own schedule.
that too, and that, my schedule's been controlling me since I started this, and I'm trying to learn and trying to figure out. And I have a couple of mentors that own their own businesses that have been doing this a lot longer, that have been helping me out with that, and we're working through it. Working through trying to grow my business, trying to be maybe a bigger business, grow a little bit, and then also just be able to manage my time and my resources. Those are the two biggest things, are just your time and your resources, and where you're putting your effort into, and having a little bit of margin in your life where I don't have to track every five, like I have 5 minutes here and 10 minutes here, have a little
Yeah.
bit of free time.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, that you definitely that will continue to be a challenge for you.
definitely.
But it'll lessen, right? Like the more that you're able to grow, and then you get people on your team that you trust, and that you can kind of like hand that off. It is difficult, because I can just tell, just from your work, from what I've seen, and just like our conversation, that because you are so passionate about what you do, and like the level of quality that you put out there, it's got to be hard to trust other people to create that same, right? So you have kind of your hands in all of the projects that you're doing.
Yeah, and I hate yes, and I hate trying to be a micromanager of things, but a
It's
lot of
not a micromanager.
but a lot of well, that's the thing. I take pride in what the work that's being put into place, and so if I don't like the way something's doing, I will jump in and be like, hey, this needs to be done this way, or if need be, I'll put my tool bags. Like, that's where I'm at in my business right now, is I'll still put my tool bags on and put work into place out in the field, as you saw it, with the horse barn. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I do, and finding quality people that'll do quality stuff that you don't have to worry about. It's not a dime a dozen anymore. It's very hard to find that, and if you do find it, you're very fortunate to find it.
Yeah.
So
Well, like you said too, like just in the industry in general, it's kind of like known that like there's people that have had issues. It's kind of like one extreme or the other.
yes,
The really good guys are like really busy and fully scheduled. So then you kind of have to go with what's left. And
Yep.
then sometimes the people that are what's left, sometimes you get lucky and it's an up and comer that is as passionate and cares about quality, but sometimes it's those that like walk out on jobs, or don't do it properly and all that stuff. So it's kind of, I could see that like your pool of growing your team would be just as difficult and
very
finding.
very limited, and that's so in 2000. And I don't know the current numbers right now, but in 2008, when we had that housing market crisis, over 1 million tradespersons left the trades, and they never came back. And
Wow.
we've grown in grown in the work that's been being put out right now. So there's more work going on now, obviously, than there was pre 2008, and we have a deficit and a labor shortage, big time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, again, trying to find people to fill those shoes, like fill the skilled trades too. Like finishers, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Trying to find guys to fill in those trades it's hard to do. And to anybody that watches this, I would just say that if you're trying to find an industry to get into, construction would be a wonderful industry for you to get into, just as a trades
100%.
person, because you're needed, and there's always going to be a spot and a job for you to take to do something.
AI is not replacing that.
No, AI can't replace how to wire in a house or do
Yeah.
a HVAC furnace swap out, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So on that note, I'm curious, because I get that sometimes where clients will present me like, well, AI recommends this. Are you starting to get that from different, clients that you work with?
The one thing that has helped out with AI, which it's always not feasible, our clients are able to visualize or visually give me something.
Oh, at least like a SketchUp or
A
a markup
SketchUp
of
of what they want, and I had one a client 2 weeks ago that gave me, like renderings and a floor plan that they had basically generated off of AI. Now, some of it,
It's not accurate.
So some of
Just
it's
like a
not
wall going into a door. Like that's not
right. Some of it from like a structural standpoint or whatever, it's not even feasible to build it, but it gives you a really good design basis to go back to your architect and your engineer and say, hey, we need to get as close to this as we possibly can and still, beat a code and get through permitting and all that stuff. And that helps out. But no, to answer your question, no, AI has not infiltrated. Like that's all AI has infiltrated into the trades with me.
That's good.
Is it's helped out as far as clients giving me design stuff, design reference things, but that's about it.
Yeah, I have a client who's owns some properties out in Utah area, and he's had some tenants come up and be like, oh, here AI recommends that, we look at this. Like, have you looked at this, filter, or have you changed that? He's like, are you serious? He's like, I know what I'm doing. He's like, I've owned properties for a long time. He's like, I've been in construction. That's why I was just curious. But I'm glad it has not, gotten in the way.
And I'm pretty out of touch, honestly, on the whole technology AI thing, because it's just not the space that I'm in. But with you being in marketing, how has it affected you?
Oh gosh, like a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people that, number one, will have AI like write their content for them.
Okay.
Which ends up making them sound robotic, funny enough.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then I've had a lot of people that have like reached out to me like in the past year that are like, oh, well, AI recommends this for my website. And I'm like, okay. But I have to address it all.
Sure.
So I have to like go through like the reasons, be like, okay, this is like generic advice from, from AI, from a robot.
Exactly. Have you found it to be more of a help to you or a hindrance in your line of work?
So like for us in my business, like we do use AI, right? Like, so we'll do it for like operation systems, obviously for like some research and things like that. We do use it. I'm not a fan of the AI generated images because like in your case, at least it gives you the picture, but some people like will put it out there and then I'm like, there's an extra finger, like you're,
right.
The eye's weird or it can't do teeth. Like it's just like weird things. So, I mean, I've definitely become more open to it in the past year.
Okay.
Because when it first came out, I just saw everyone posting like AI generated content. And then I'm like, I can tell that's written by AI. And then it's weird because it not that I lose respect for the person, but I do lose they lose a little bit of that credibility with me. And I'm like, if you can't describe what you do in your own words, why would I want to do business with you?
Sure.
Right.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely been interesting. And then there's a lot of people that, the good news of it is that there are a lot of people that say like couldn't afford my services, but at least they're able to do something.
Right.
They're able to do like some marketing on their own, like with the use of those tools. So it has, I guess like in any technology, right? It has its up and downs, its pros and its cons.
Right. I think there's still a lot too to be learned about it because just listening to some different podcasts and things that, I don't know, like the self-awareness portion of AI that's starting to come about is, that's a little spooky as well. So hopefully we get that ironed out here.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, listen, we've all seen the AI movies, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So like they all end the same way.
Right.
So hopefully there are measures being put in place
Yes.
that like we don't get taken over by the AI robots. I saw a couple videos. There's a guy that connected with me on LinkedIn and like all the videos that he were posting of like all of the robots coming out. So there's like the cleaning robots and like there was one that like a basketball playing robot. So it's like, it's interesting to see that, but every time I see that, I'm like, ooh, I'm like thinking of like all of like the iRobots and
Yep,
all
absolutely.
those things. And I'm like, my parents have a robot lawnmower. Kind of like a Roomba, but for your lawn.
Oh, I know.
Right?
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
So they've had it for a couple of years now, but so it's programmed. And so like I see it walking and I'm like, oh, if we ever go through like an AI revolution, I'm like, or this poor thing never gets a break.
Yep.
Like it's constantly running.
Yes.
I was like, oh, it's going to come after us. I'm like, always treat it nicely. You never know what's going to happen.
Our neighbors have one of those, so I'm not too worried about those because they can't even mow in a straight line. They're just all over the place with how they mow.
Yeah, they just stay within their perimeter, like as long as it's there. And if the perimeter is broken, they shut down.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's like it's fine. It's not a big deal. We'll be okay.
But AI does have a lot of initiatives. Like there's a lot of things coming out. Like innovative, like softwares, programs, things that you can build with it. Even like my website developer, like has done some AI like develop websites which just like kind of like builds out like the exact way to like show up on like results and stuff. So
Gotcha.
there's a lot of different things that it'll help.
Hmm.
Um, but I still prefer, the person to
Personal,
yeah.
absolutely. The personal connection on doing things is the way to do it in my opinion. Like AI can help you, whatever, write a contract or do some busy work stuff, but when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's still people that are out here building your house and that are building,
Yes.
America. So we need to invest in that, and have individuals that are, that want to have a work ethic and some drive to be able to get into the trades and be able to
Yeah.
build, build America, continue to build America.
Mike Rowe, the guy from the
Dirty
Dirty
Jobs.
Jobs,
Yeah,
like he's been a huge supporter of that, obviously, for a very long time. But I just saw
absolutely.
recently where he's got a scholarship program specifically for people going into trades, because that's
Yep,
one thing, like with all these AI systems coming up, all data centers, electricians, plumbers, like
they're huge.
they're in such high demand.
Yes.
And guys, like it's great pay. It's
Hmm.
a great industry, you know?
It's a wonderful career. My
It's hard
father.
work, but it's you get paid for it at least.
It is, and that's, I think, again, as far as Americans are concerned, where we need to have some motivation to be able to help ourselves out, and especially with everything that's going on right now, whether you like it or not, on the immigration front, of just being like, hey, who knows what's going to happen, but again, we have a deficit of trades that
Yeah.
needs to be filled. And you look at, so real close to home here, in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is, an hour north of us right now, you have Microsoft and Meta, and I think there's one other huge company that they're all building cloud storage up there. And it's, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of electricians are going up there. There have been times where there's nobody on the bench at the union halls down here for the electrical, because everybody's been up there working. I've actually
Yeah.
had, because my background is more so in steel buildings, pre-engineered metal buildings,
Mhm.
and I've had people call me to ask me to come up there and help manage the construction of those. And yeah, I mean, there's so much work going on right now in the construction industry that, yeah, we need people to have a work ethic and maybe a little bit of common sense, and let's do it. So
Yeah, and to be
yeah,
taught those skills. And
yes,
again, it's like it's one of those things. It can't be. It's well, I don't want to say can't, because who knows what robot next is gonna come out to. But as of
right.
now, at least for the foreseeable future, it's not gonna be replaced by a robot. Like you need that human, the skill and
Right.
the person in order to do that. Like even in buildings.
Yep, absolutely.
So do you do a lot of, you said you can do commercial. Do you do a lot of
Yes.
commercial now?
No, and I'd like to get my foot back in the door on that, and it's something that you don't just go in and say, all right, I'm going to do commercial, right? Yeah, it's a lot of networking and kind of who as far as that's concerned. But there's a couple of projects I'm doing for some parks departments
Mhm.
right now on some infrastructure work, and that's been actually kind of good, getting my foot in the door there. And then I've been just really trying to bid more work that's more geared to the commercial space, because the other thing too you're seeing, as far as economics are concerned right now, are just where interest rates are, and then as far as the inflation over the last few years, people don't want to spend, not everybody, but a lot of people don't want to spend a ton of money on their houses right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
get,
an unknown market right now. Like you don't know where it's going and what's
yeah, and
happening.
people aren't seeing the resale value that they were, say, in 2019 to
Yeah.
23, even 24. They weren't, you'd put whatever, you'd put 50, 60, $70,000 into a house, and you'd get that on your resale value. Whereas now that's not the case. Like home sale prices are either slowing or they're starting to decrease a little bit here in this area. So that being said, trying to get back into the commercial space, and there are contacts that I have that, I've been working on trying to establish some commercial work with them,
Hmm.
and just grow my book of business. But right now, again, going into business for myself, it's been a whole learning curve on a whole different lot of fronts, or a whole wow, a lot of different fronts.
Mhm.
And that's just one of them, is trying to get back into the commercial side of things and
Yeah.
building commercial spaces for folks.
And to grow your business while you're working in your business
Yes.
is always challenging.
And yeah, it's some late nights and some very early mornings. A lot of times that sounds really cliche, but it's the truth. You're like, well, if anybody's gonna do it, it's gonna have to be me, because right now I don't have the band, or I don't have like the capability to go out and hire, say, like an operations officer or a sales guy full time, right? So I'm
Yet.
having right. So
Mhm.
I'm having to wear all of those hats and get, hopefully, to a point where I am able to hire those types of people
Yeah.
into my outfit.
You mentioned you do some networking. So do you go to like networking events, or is it more of like networking of like the people that you know and like kind of staying in touch with them?
Yeah, more so the people that I know. And the construction industry is a super small world. So, like, to give you an example, there was my wife's from a construction background too, and there was a guy that she worked with a few years ago, and he called me out of the blue, and coincidentally enough, he went to work for a company that I used to hire all the time as a subcontractor for commercial buildings. And so that, like, networking right there actually landed me some work this
Awesome.
past year. So just, it's a small world all the time. So just not burning bridges, and just keeping your lines of communication open with people that on the networking event side, I've I've been invited to several of them, and again, because I'm just kind of spread pretty thin timing wise right now, haven't made it to one of them. There was one that was on, I think it was this Tuesday, or maybe it's next Tuesday, that I'm not going to be able to be a part of, but it's just kind of like get to know different, in these networking groups, there's different, like, lawyers and cleaning companies and real estate agents, and you name it.
Great
There's
referral sources.
different referral sources, and you give your elevator pitch to people and go from there. But
you got to be there to do
you have
it.
to be there to do it. Yeah, and so far timing has not allowed for that. So one of these days we'll get to one of those. But right now it's just been word of mouth.
Have you
people.
joined your local chamber?
No, that's the other thing. Haven't joined the Chamber of Commerce. Need to do that. Like, there's a lot of pavers and footwork type of things that I've been trying to move towards, like the website. Me having a website, that was a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
That took a while
Great
to get
looking
done.
website.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So that's been something that's, that was a big milestone to get that done, and just trying to chip away at other things. But you only have so many hours in the day to knock stuff out like that.
100%. You do bids though, and a lot of work. So where do you find those projects?
The bids that I've gotten, work I have, is just all through word of mouth. I haven't had to do really much for marketing. I've had one person that has found me through the Better Business Bureau that hasn't been a scam.
There are a lot of those.
I have people that text me, whoever it is, text me, or they'll email me all the time asking for referrals or bids, or not referrals, but bids or proposals. And you can tell right away that it's it's a scammer or somebody fishing for your information, whatever that might be. So all of my work really has come through word of mouth and referrals. And like I said, again, through the Better Business Bureau, I have a 5-star rating. I really pride myself in that. I want to do the very best I can for people, and just work to build up that book of business through the referral side of things quite a bit, because again,
that would be ideal.
Well, and again, in construction, like, it's a super small world. So if you get blackballed, and like you have a bad name,
you're done.
You're done. So that's, if your name is worth a darn, it goes a long ways.
Yeah,
it goes a long ways.
I don't know if this would work or help you out at all, but like there's and I would assume it's the same for every state, right? But in Florida, so like there's a lot of developers that'll come in and they make a deal with the city to build whatever on city land.
Yep.
Right. And in exchange for that, then they're in part of the agreement, they have to spend a percentage of their they have to bring in a certain amount of percentage into the economy, right?
Sure.
And so a lot of them will relay that back into hiring local contractors to fill certain parts of the project.
Definitely.
So I don't know if that happens out here, but I would assume like the cities like would then post those jobs and like those bids and things like that, like online. So that might be a way to get into some of the bigger projects.
Yep.
Right.
And
Without having to be out everywhere all at once.
Well, and that's so I'm working on a proposal right now for a town that's just south of here a little bit, and it's a public works project. And so that was referred to me through somebody else that was like, hey, you should take a look at this and bid this. And so I'm doing that right now. But yeah, like that's been one of those things where there are quite a few different platforms, and there's some that are more for the private sector and private work, and then there's others that are strictly government sector type of things, and just trying to sift through that, and then also make sure that I'm qualified, because all those different projects will have different
certifications,
certs and parameters, like, hey, you have to perform 50% of this work, like self-perform work. It's just me, so I'm not going to be able to self-perform 50% of the work, or
you're not building a high rise by yourself.
Exactly. or bonding requirements for what you might need for, your insurance requirements, things like that. So yeah, just
do you have a pretty good network of like, a tile guy or plumbing guy, electrician, kind of
multiple.
And you do a lot of the stuff, or you can do a lot of the stuff yourself.
Yeah, so like carpentry and the finish work, tile work, things like that, it's kind of my bread and butter and what I really enjoy doing. Awesome. But on like the different trades that are out there, again, I've worked out here now for going on 10 years, because it's 26. Yeah, so almost 10 years. And you go through a lot. You go through a lot of subcontractors. You're like, I don't know if I want to use you again.
Test them all.
And so there's a network of subcontractors, and it's a few deep in every trade, whether it's the plumber, electrician, the drywall finisher. If I need to call somebody, hey, I need this done, I know that they're going to take care of it, and they're going to do a really good job. And so I've built up a pretty decent network of, you name it. Yeah, tile guy, electrical guy, swimming pool guy, whatever.
Yeah,
we've got it.
And you've done, maybe not the swimming pool, but you've done a lot of the work yourself too. So it's kind of like put you in that position where it's easier for you to manage, because like everything that goes into
absolutely
doing that particular part of the project.
Yeah, and that all just comes with the experience too, right? So doing this for 16 years and starting out by pushing a broom, you kind of get to see the whole from start to finish, and good, bad, and ugly, what it's supposed to look like, what it's not supposed to look like. So, and again, I've only been doing it for 16 years. There's guys out there that have been doing it for 40 plus years. Hats off to them, because I'm in year 16. And I'm like, man, this is a grind, isn't it? But my father-in-law is one of those. He's a retired electrician that owned his own company for over 30 years. So hats off to those guys for sure that do that.
Yeah. And so hopefully that'll be like where you're at. But at that point, managing your full crew.
Absolutely. Managing and
you.
And who knows, like, Lord willing, it's wherever God wants it to be at. Like I'm a Christian, and God's in control of everything, and I just take it one day at a time, and whatever He wants me to be at, that's just where I'm going to go with it. And
I love that.
Good, bad, or otherwise, like, He's in control of it all at the end of the day, and I just give it to Him.
Yeah.
He's in control.
Day by day.
Absolutely.
Love that. So if you say if you had like so much business that you had to turn business away, what are the projects that you would love to do more than anything else? Like, what are the ones that you wouldn't turn away?
Warehouse and office spaces are my bread and butter, and doing commercial ground up land development. So taking a 5-acre site that was a grass field and turning it into some guy's business for him. I'd love to do that. That would be, if I could do things like that all day long, I would do that. That would be awesome. That would be the work I would never turn away from, for sure, if I can do that, because it's job security. 2, it's the experience that I have doing, and then 3, at the end of the day, dealing with a commercial client where it's business more so, and They just need they need their operations to run, right?
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy doing. The homeowner side of thing is wonderful too. It presents a different set of challenges that, good, bad, or otherwise. You might have a homeowner that they're very personally attached to their home, obviously, rightfully so. And yeah, I don't know where to go with that, but I mean, that's
No, but I
pretty,
love that.
the commercial side of things, like building out retail space and building out office space for
So
people.
one of the things, if you are able to do it, and I don't know like the activity around here because I've not checked that out, but
Sure.
if you're able to attend any real estate investor networking events. So there's a lot of the investors that'll like kind of coordinate, and like a big sector of my business is I help them raise capital for their deals and all that
Okay.
stuff. So I've kind of been in those networks.
Great.
But there's a lot of those guys that'll do, they do commercial builds, or let's say like I've got a client that does self-storage investments, and then he'll like buy a property and then he expands, right? So then he's got to build a structure on it, or they buy medical office space, kind of like a whole slew of it. But even that, like even on the apartment side, most of them are like multifamily investors. They buy like apartment buildings.
That'd be one. Yeah. See,
And
those would be wonderful things to get into.
Right. Because that's kind of like a kind of both sides of it. Because then you get like your residential experience, but it's a larger scale. So it's for business, right? So a lot of them will come in, they buy the building, and their first step is to, upgrade a bunch of the units so that way then they can raise the rents and do all the things.
Absolutely.
So it's usually done in like phases, but that would probably be like a really good source to get like bigger projects.
Yes.
And more into that space. And, this whole industry is just so relationship driven, right? It's all about like, hey, you know what? I know Grant and I can call him like, any time of the day. Well, maybe not any time of the day.
Yeah. Don't call me after 5. Okay, please.
The kids will answer.
Yeah. I'll hand the phone to my 3-year-old. You can have a round robin conversation with my 3-year-old about dinosaurs and trucks and sandboxes.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be worth the phone call.
Yep.
But yeah, that way they can like call on you and they can like spitball ideas, or if they're looking at a property, you know what I mean? Like they know to like to contact you and then like just be like, hey, is this possible? What I'm thinking for this property?
Yes.
That would be like ideal.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah. And I mean, we could like from conceptual design to getting it through permitting to turning the keys over, getting a C of O, one-stop shop. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I enjoy doing, is taking something from, hey, this is my idea, to people being like, I'm just absolutely ecstatic that this was able to come to fruition. So
we got to look too to see if there's because there's a Flex iOS that's like the industrial space that's kind of like up and coming.
Yep.
Especially since COVID, and a lot of businesses kind of lost their leases and all that stuff. So a lot of people are going into this like flex warehouse type situation.
Yep.
And I know it's like picking up big time, like on the East Coast, and I would assume same around here.
Yeah, big time. There's a ton of tilt-up buildings that have gone up around, actually, like the Loveland Airport right over here, that a lot of people have moved their businesses over that. The door and frame shop that I use, they're in there, and it's really weird because they used to have this really nice office space, and now it's just a bunch of cubicles and a huge warehouse space. But I mean, whatever.
It works for them.
It works for them. Good for them. So yeah, that's been huge.
But yeah, because those are huge for build out too, because like it depends on like whatever the person needs, and they kind of do the build out in that way in retail space too. So yeah, we'll definitely have to check out like what's going on in the
that'd be wonderful
in the area and the networks and stuff. So that way, at least if you're, because not to bash like the chamber and all that stuff, like those are great too. Like I would recommend getting on the list of the chamber, like joining so that you're on their website. So if someone's searching, right, they would go to like a chamber recommended business first, kind of like the Better Business Bureau, like kind of similar to that. But I like for networking event, like because your time is so limited, to make it like as focused as possible.
Yes.
So that way then if you can pop in, and great. The only downside is a lot of those are, well, I guess on the East Coast are usually at night. I don't know how people do things here. So they might be.
It kind of depends. The ones the ones I've been invited to are, like at 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. and it just doesn't work because it's right in the middle of my day. But
you can't get anything done. Although, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
This was in the middle of the day.
Thank you for the invite. It worked out great. And I need my goal has been, and it hasn't always worked out, is that Fridays are my days for things like this, to do things like this, networking, catch up on paperwork, proposals, things like that. It doesn't always happen like last Friday, but yeah. So,
best laid plans.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, yeah, because the first time we chatted, you were out in Utah. doing? Oh, so
Yeah.
that's one thing we didn't talk about. What areas do you? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
all over. He'll fly.
Yeah. So I'll go all over the place.
Mhm.
Right now I'm doing a project in Greenwood Village, which is, for those of you that don't know, it's like South Denver. So it's about an hour and a half, hour 45 from here, all the way up to, Cheyenne, Laramie, Wyoming, those areas. I'll do some projects. I am trying to kind of become more centralized along the Front Range. So like Greeley, Fort Collins, Wellington, and then even going maybe as far as south as like, say, like Fort Lupton, that area.
Mhm.
But yeah, right now, if you have a project and you want to bid on it, let's, within a couple hours of Greeley, Colorado, let's do it.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm all
But
about
you
it.
are focusing to eventually be like in. They call it the Front Range
The
area.
Front Range, yeah.
Range,
If
okay.
especially with diesel prices right now, if I don't have to drive 3 hours round trip a day for a project, that would be my ideal. If I can stay within, say, 50 minutes of Greeley, let's do that.
Right.
I'd much prefer that.
At least if you have to drive to make it like a big enough project that it makes it like worth your time.
Worth my time,
Yeah,
exactly. Yep,
that makes sense.
exactly. So
So yeah, if you guys know anyone, losing my voice here, if you guys know anyone that is looking for work, is looking for, getting, not for work, but getting work done on their homes or business, build out, like definitely reach out to Grant. We have like a few minutes left here. Is there any last tips, advice that you want to like leave to the audience, like when they're working with a contractor or like when they're looking to, work on their homes or businesses?
Yeah, I guess as far as work's concerned, and just vetting people, just do your due diligence. Look at their track record, ask for references.
And call those
And
references.
call the references. Don't just take that contractor's just word for it, and do your homework too. The other thing I would suggest is, um, for my sake, try to have a ballpark budget on what you're wanting to spend on a project, because a lot of people go into this and it's tough because, again, with inflation over the last 7 years, pricing's out the window, like from 2019 on. But try to have a ballpark understanding of what things cost, and if you don't, and you get a proposal and it seems out of this world, just like have them quantify it. Be like, hey, why is this bathroom costing me $70,000? Ask them that, and just talk through it with them. I try to be fair with my clients. There's some people, that'll put a ridiculous markup on it, and we all need a markup to be profitable and make
You're in business for a reason.
We're in business for a reason. That's to make a profit, right? People need to understand that, because I think there's a lot of folks out there that
they think they just pay for material.
Yeah, they think they pay for material and just for my time, which you're going to pay for my time, but as a business owner, I need to grow my business. So some understanding from that aspect of it would be great.
It'd be awesome. And speaking of pricing, so I know commercial side is kind of hard for us to kind of give a ballpark of pricing and things like that. But on the residential side, like if we're looking at, can you give people like at least like a starting point for like a bathroom renovation or a kitchen renovation? Because those are typically like kind of like your standard ones.
Sure. So it's a pretty heavy question, because it depends on
material and style and
it totally depends on your style. There's a master bathroom that I remodeled and redid earlier this year that was close to $70,000 for a master bathroom, and they had a lot of stuff that went into that bathroom. For maybe, say, a guest bathroom, you could get away with doing stuff for, say, $15,000 to $25,000.
Okay. And again, disclaimer, depends on material, what you want.
Yeah.
If you're knocking down walls and changing layout, it's a different pricing.
And because
just at least give a starting point.
Right. And because like here's what totally ranges. Like you can buy tile for your floor for 99 cents a square foot, or you can buy marble tile that's imported from Italy for $99 a square foot. So
big difference.
Totally depends on your taste on everything. And then same with kitchen remodels. Kitchen remodel for a really small kitchen on the low end, you're maybe 20 to 30,000. But if you have a really big kitchen and you want walnut done, there's people that I've known that they spent over $100,000 on their cabinets alone. Okay, so you have
cabinets.
so you have a $250,000 kitchen remodel. It totally depends. I mean, like I know
Yeah.
that's not probably the answer you're looking for, because
No,
that's a huge spread, but it totally depends on your house, your style, what you're comfortable spending on. So
yeah.
yeah, I
But at
mean,
least it's good. Like, so you got to know, like, number one, I mean, both of those prices that you said, like, even like bare bones was
Yep.
like around 20 grand. So
right.
if you're going to do any of that work, you got to be at least prepared. It's going to be that. And then whatever else you want
Right.
from there.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So on the side too, I do some real estate things, buy homes and flip them. The last house that I flipped, I did new flooring, new kitchen, new tile on all the bathrooms, and new paint throughout everything. What else did I do? Oh, and I did new siding and windows, and not including my labor, or just on material alone, I dropped $80,000 on just material for a ranch house, ranch style, 1,700 square foot home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's easy to do.
Yeah. It goes by quickly.
It goes quick. Well, great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me
Thank you,
today,
Julie.
Grant. This was fun.
It's been wonderful.
Hopefully we educated the people here on a couple things. And if you guys are looking for any work, your business, home, any of the above, if you have real, contractor questions, like if you
Yep.
want to ballpark any ideas, give them a call,
Reach
check out his
out.
website.
Yep.
And
My phone number's on my website. Reach out, and I think I have a link on the website too to reach out for proposals. But the best way to get a hold of me is to give me a call at the phone number on my website.
Perfect.
So
thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Julie.
And you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Later.